Alrighty, let's go ahead and look at function notation here. So a couple important parts about function notation. Um, the reason for function notation is to name and to look at inputs and outputs. Okay, so if I have this function right here, f of x equals negative 4x plus 7, I know the function is named f. Okay, so there could be functions named g, h, i, j, k, whatever letter you want out here, but this one is named f. Whatever's inside the parentheses is the input. Whatever is on the other side of the equal sign is the output. Okay, so if we're looking at this problem right here, I want to use the function f, which it matches up. And since it gives me the number inside the parentheses, that's my input. Okay, so that's telling me to plug in 2 in for x. So I'm just simply doing negative 4, sticking that 2 into the input, plus 7 more. So that's negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1. So the f function I'm using with the input of 2 gave me the output of negative 1. Okay. Number 2, we're still using the f function, this time with an input of negative 2. So since it's inside the parentheses, it's my input, so it goes in for x. So negative 4 times negative 2 is, positive 8, plus 7 more is 15. So the f function with the input of negative 2 that I had equals the output of 15. Okay. All right, go ahead and pause the video. Try 5 and 6, and then you can play when you're ready. All right, so this time we're using the g function, and we're still using an input because it gives us the number inside the parentheses. So I have negative. In place of x, I put in my negative 4, minus 1 more. Minus a negative becomes plus a positive. So 4 minus 1 is 3. So the g function with the input of negative 4 gave me an output of 3. Okay, g function again with 3 as the input. So negative x is 3 minus 1 more. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. So the g function with the input of 3 gave me an output of negative 4. Okay. All right, let's go to the back and flip-flop. All right, so on the second page here, we are given different stuff than on the front page. So on the front page, it was giving us this number right here inside of the parentheses. That was our input. Now it's giving us the number on the other side of the equal sign. That's our output. Okay, so instead of being the input and plugging it in for x, we have the output on the other side of the parentheses. So this is when I set up more of an equation. So the negative 20 is the output on the other side of the equal sign, and I set it equal to my function of negative 3x plus 1. Okay, so now I have an equation that I can solve. So I do my opposite operation, subtract 1, you get negative 21 equals negative 3x, divide by negative 3, and you end up with 7 equals x. So remember, I was solving for x. I was solving for the input. So this b function with the input that I just figured out was 7 should give me the original output of negative 20 that I started with. Okay, so you really have to pay attention. Did they give you the input or output? And are you solving for the input or output? So you can make sure you get it in your function notation correctly. So again, on number 8, they give me this 33, which is on the other side of the equal sign. So 33 for my output equals 4x minus 3. And I can find x, the input. So now I'm solving my equation, add 3. So 36 equals 4x. Divide by 4. And 9 equals x. So then I figured out my input is 9. So the r function with the input I just figured out of 9 should give me the original output of 33. Okay, so that's how we do that if we have an output. Go ahead and pause the video. Try 9 and 10 on your own, and then you can play when you're ready for them. All right, so 9 gives us the output again, the negative 5 on the other side of the equal sign. So it equals 7 minus 2x, my function. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve. So subtract 7. I get negative 12 equals negative 2x. Divide by negative 2. And I get 6 equals x. So that's my input. So the h function with the input of 6 should give me the original output of negative 5. Okay, and then on number 10, again, it gives me the output of 10. So 10 on the output, negative x plus 4. Okay, then I just have to solve for x, which is my input. So I would subtract, I don't know why I put 7, subtract 4. Okay, so I have 6 equals negative x. Remember, negative x is not quite x by itself. It's like negative 1 times x, so I divide by negative 1. And I have negative 6 equals x. So that's my input. So f was my function. The input I just figured out should be negative 6. The original output they gave me was 10. Okay, I would highly, highly suggest here, because this can get really tricky looking back and forth, to kind of flip back and forth between the front page of the notes and the back page of the notes a couple times, and just really, really trying to hone in on when does it give you the input versus when does it give you the output. When it gives you the input, plug it in and simplify to find the output. When it gives you the output, set up your equation, solve for x, which x is your input. Okay, so those are your function notation notes.